didn't expect that so fast. So now, Kenya. When I read this, that I mean, you really extended yourself. You really pushed it out there, and that's the best. So, can you talk about that experience?
Absolutely. So I was mentioning that there's a Little People of America convention that happens every summer in a different city. There's also this thing called World Dwarf Games, which is a sporting event for people with dwarfism that happens every 4 years. So back in 2013, there were the World Dwarf Games that were taking place in Lansing, Michigan. And there were people from Kenya who really wanted to travel to Michigan for the Dwarf Games. But the people who were supporting the organization, including the senator of Nairobi, who was the patron of the organization, said, "You don't have a formal organization in place. There's no way we can fund or support you traveling to the States, because what if you don't come back? And then that's our responsibility." So a group of little people formalized their chapter of the Little People of Kenya and put together an event that was on International Day of People with Disabilities, December 3rd, in Kenya. And they wanted to have speakers. They reached out to me on Twitter. Around that time, when they reached out, I had also heard from like the First Baptist Church in England, and it was one of those things where it was a total spam. I thought I was being invited to speak at a church in England, but it was it didn't end up turning into anything. So I was a little nervous getting a message from someone from Kenya, but I encouraged the person to give me a call so I could tell that they were a real person. And they
Yeah.
worked several months to get the support funding they needed, because they didn't want me to have to pay out of pocket. I wasn't working at the time, so it was important for me to have that support. And then they invited a few other people that were able to attend, who I could fly with, because my family was a little nervous. Even though I was an adult, it was a little scary to be going to Kenya by myself. And there was another family that I was able to meet in Washington, D.C. and fly with to Kenya. And it was the week of Thanksgiving here in the States. So I traveled on that day and got there in order to be at the event. And what was awesome about going there is just fewer layers to get the recognition that the organization deserved, especially when it comes to the media. We were all over town doing interviews with newspapers and radio stations and morning shows, and there was word all around the country about the importance of this organization coming together. And at the launch event that happened in downtown Nairobi, there were about 500 people who attended, families who were bringing their children out for the first time, to show that there's a reason to be more inclusive and accepting of dwarfism. People were dancing, having a great time. And I learned to appreciate a lot more that we forget to appreciate, those things we have here that aren't there. But seeing smiles on so many faces really showed that there was a passion and a desire to be more inclusive. And even since I've left, the organization has continued to grow and spread more awareness around Kenya and the rest of even the continent of Africa.
Wow. And you did that. I mean, that's got to feel like an amazing accomplishment and feeling.
It
Um,
was.
yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. Can you talk about the type of dwarfism that you have? And
I, I have achondroplasia. It's the most common form of short limbed dwarfism. And short limbed dwarfism just means that I have an average height torso. So if I'm sitting next to average height people, it may appear that I'm the same height, but I have shorter arms and legs. And then, even though I have an average sized torso, all of my organs are more compact. So what's common with my type of dwarfism is spinal stenosis, where the spinal column is pinching up against the spinal cord, and it may require surgical intervention. And that was something that I did have to have done at 15 years old. And I also had bowed legs when I was really young. So I had leg surgery when I was 3, and then again when I was 13. And then narrow ear canals lead to the need for tubes and just the tighter airways. Most people with dwarfism get their tonsils and adenoids removed. So I've had about 8 surgeries, and it's not something that anyone is excited about, but at the same time, it's not something that's prevented me from accomplishing what I want. So when people tried to say that people with dwarfism have it hard, I don't want people to feel bad for me. I just want them to give me a chance to participate in society in a meaningful way. Because I think I've learned a lot from the process as well.
Yeah, I mean, you are a definite example for sure that there are no limits really to what you can do. And I have like I'm 4'5". I have Turner syndrome, which um, does it's pituitary. Pituitary is different because uh, it's proportionate, like your
Mm-hmm.
arms and legs. But I'm I cannot. Most people with Turners do not have are not able to have children. There's some that are, um, and that was a real shock. Um, we have hearing loss. We also do get inner ear problems. I had tubes as a child, and I couldn't. It was like a whole summer you can't swim.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ear infections, and so I can relate to that. Um, Another thing I can relate to is you were a Toastmaster.
Yes.
I know what that is because I was too, and I love that. I read that in looking researching you, and I was like, oh wow, okay, that's a common thing too. And then the ear thing. I have a hearing loss in my left ear, so there's a lot of things we can relate to.
I have hearing loss in my right ear.
Yeah. So and I know people with achondroplasia, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yes.
They do a lot of back surgeries because I have lots of friends that have gone through that. Um, and I this is hard for me to talk about, but I don't have children, and that was a big issue in my life. And I know that you are a mother, and you just recently had a loss of your child, and um, I just know that that has to hurt, and I I feel my empathy towards you. And Jackson uh, is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
I watched your little video of his tribute, and my heart, I had tears. And he's just a joy, and he will forever be on us
Yeah.
when you look at that face. So thank you so much. And let's see. I just want to know if there's some more things that I didn't bring out in today's conversation that you would like to say. We'll take another short break and then we'll come back and we will talk about some things that you would like to say as last thoughts, how to contact you through social media. And yeah, so we'll be back, okay?